Welcome to the EEE360 video for lab number 3, watts, vars, voltamperes, and power factor. For this lab, we'll be using various components. First, we'll be using the AC power supply. We'll also be using the resistive load, the AC ammeters, as well as the AC voltmeters. We'll also be using the inductive load, as well as the single-phase wattmeter. Here's a close-up of the variable inductance module. We can see that each of these has variable selector switches, so we can choose which inductors to use. Again, there are 3 separate inductors that can be connected in parallel. Now the TA Jichang Yu is ready to make the connections for this circuit. First, we're going to connect the variable power supply to the single-phase wattmeter. We'll also make sure that we'll connect the neutral point up to the single-phase wattmeter. Now we're going to connect the output of the single-phase wattmeter through an ammeter, and we'll connect the ammeter to the resistors. In order to get the proper resistance value, we actually need to connect all 3 resistors in parallel. And for the resistors to be connected properly in parallel, we'll also have to connect all of the other side of the resistors together. To complete the circuit, we're going to connect the neutral point of the resistors to the neutral point of the single-phase wattmeter. Now we're going to interconnect the inductance module to the resistors. We'll do the neutral point as well. And indeed, to get the proper inductance value, we need to connect all 3 inductors together in parallel. We'll also interconnect the neutral point of the inductors together to ensure the proper parallel connection. Here we're just ensuring that we have the proper parallel connection. The one last step, the last connection to make, is to connect a voltmeter across the resistor so that we can monitor the voltage across the load. And we're going to connect the positive side of the resistor to the voltmeter. And now we have made all of the connections for this circuit. And now we're ready to energize our circuit. We'll first turn on the power supply, and we're going to adjust the voltage up until we have 120 volts across our resistor. Let's take a close look at all of our measurements. Here we can see that our voltage across the resistor is 120 volts. Here's a close-up of our current reading. We're reading this from the 2.5 amp scale, so we can see that the current measurement is 1.8 amperes. Here's a close-up of the reading of the single-phase wattmeter. We can see here that the reading is 150 watts. And now, students, it is your turn to investigate power factor using various circuits and the single-phase wattmeter as outlined in your laboratory manual.